Lawrence "Larry" Summers is a prominent American economist. He has a long and distinguished career in academia and public service. He served as the 71st U.S. Secretary of the Treasury under President Bill Clinton. He later became the 27th president of Harvard University. His influence extends across economic policy, financial circles, and higher education. That makes him a significant public figure whose associations are often subject to scrutiny. His roles have placed him at the intersection of power, wealth, and intellectual discourse. He has interacted with countless individuals from various sectors over several decades. His public life is well documented, yet questions have arisen about his connections to certain controversial figures. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier who cultivated an extensive network of connections with powerful and famous individuals. His professional life was marked by immense wealth, but his personal life was defined by serious criminal allegations of sex trafficking and sexual abuse of minors. His arrest in 2019. Those events brought his secretive world into the public eye, prompting intense examination of his relationships and financial dealings. As part of legal proceedings and journalistic investigations, a trove of documents was made public, including emails and flight logs. These records, often called the Epstein files, offer a partial window into the web of influence he built. This piece aims to provide a clear, factual account of what the publicly available Epstein-related emails reveal about Larry Summers. The goal is to adhere strictly to the documented evidence. No speculation, no drama. We will examine the dates, the participants, and the substance of the messages that mention Summers. The objective is not to draw definitive conclusions about their relationship, but to lay out the known facts as they appear in the records. This approach allows for a neutral, informative exploration to separate proven information from unfounded rumors. The release of these documents has led to a re-evaluation of the networks that enabled Epstein's activities. For public figures like Larry Summers, any mention in these files invites questions and demands for clarity. A significant portion of the emails mentioning Larry Summers relates to his tenure as president of Harvard University, which lasted from 2001 to 2006. And during this period, Jeffrey Epstein was actively seeking to establish himself as a serious intellectual, as a philanthropist, and he identified Harvard as a key institution for his ambitions. Publicly available emails show that Epstein and his associates were in communication with individuals at the university regarding potential donations and academic interests. An email from Epstein's account dated September 23, 2003, for instance, mentioned a planned visit to Harvard to discuss the program for evolutionary dynamics with its founder, Martin Nowak, a professor whom Epstein helped fund with a multi-million-dollar pledge. These communications were not always directly with Summers, but often involved his office or staff members, responsible for development and donor relations. The emails underscore the procedural nature of university fundraising, where potential donors are vetted and cultivated. Epstein was presented as a science philanthropist interested in supporting cutting-edge research at the university. Records show internal discussions among Harvard staff about Epstein, his interests, and his potential as a major donor. For example, a note might detail a scheduled meeting or a follow-up conversation regarding a specific academic department or research initiative that Epstein had expressed an interest in supporting. This context is crucial for understanding why his name appeared in university correspondence. One of the most cited documents is an internal Harvard email which discusses Epstein's pledge to the university. This email and related records confirm that Harvard accepted funds from Epstein. The documentation shows that Epstein committed millions of dollars to the university, specifically to support the work of Martin Nowak. While Summers was president during this time, the emails do not show his direct, personal involvement in soliciting or negotiating this specific donation. Instead, they depict a university system where development offices and departmental heads often manage such interactions with donors as part of their standard operational duties. It is important to note what these emails confirm and what they do not. They confirm that Epstein was a significant donor to a program at Harvard while Summers was president. They confirm that there were communications between Epstein's circle and Harvard staff. However, they do not provide evidence that Summers personally championed Epstein's donations or had a close, collaborative relationship with him regarding these financial matters. The records show an institutional connection, driven by Epstein's desire to affiliate himself with Harvard's prestige and the university's standard procedures for engaging with wealthy individuals who express an interest in philanthropy. The interactions appear transactional and institutional in nature. Beyond the institutional context of Harvard, Larry Summers' name appears in emails related to social gatherings and intellectual events organized or attended by Jeffrey Epstein. These messages often take the form of invitations, guest lists, schedules for dinners, conferences, trips. For example, an email might list Summers as a potential or invited guest for a dinner party at Epstein's New York townhouse, listed alongside other prominent figures from finance, science, politics. These lists were part of Epstein's strategy to position himself as a convener of influential minds, creating a salon-like atmosphere. The presence of Summers' name on these lists indicates he was considered a desirable guest. It shows overlapping social and professional circles, particularly in elite academia and high finance. An email from Epstein's staff might outline an itinerary for a trip on his private jet, with Summers listed among invitees for a specific leg. One documented instance is an itinerary for a trip to a conference. These emails serve as evidence that invitations were extended and that Summers was part of the broader network Epstein sought to engage. However, an invitation or a name on a guest list is not definitive proof of attendance. Often the emails show only planning stages and lack a response or confirmation from Summers. Public figures like Summers receive many invitations and are often included on prospective lists. The emails document the attempt to include him, but often lack follow-up needed to confirm participation. Summers has publicly said his interactions were limited, and in group settings, his spokespeople call any contact incidental and say he regrets associating with Epstein. That public stance provides context to the records. The documents show Summers was on Epstein's social radar. His name was used to add legitimacy to gatherings. The emails confirm a social orbit Epstein tried to create around himself, with Summers one of many prominent individuals he sought to draw in. While the emails and documents provide a factual basis for certain interactions, it is equally important to be precise about what they do not show. The publicly released files do not contain any evidence that Larry Summers was involved in or had knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's criminal activities. There are no emails, logs, or records in the public domain that implicate Summers in any illegal acts. The correspondence is transactional and social in nature, revolving around university donations, academic discussions, and invitations to events. The absence of incriminating evidence is a critical part of the factual record. The emails do not establish a close personal friendship between Summers and Epstein. The communications are largely formal, often between staff members rather than intimate exchanges. The tone is typically professional or logistical. For instance, an email might be from Epstein's assistant to Summers' assistant to coordinate schedules for a potential meeting. This is standard practice for busy public figures. The lack of casual back and forth suggests a professional or network-based connection, which aligns with Summers' own description of their limited acquaintance. The documents also do not provide a complete picture. The released files are only a fraction of Epstein's total communications over decades. There could be other emails or records not made public that might change the context. Any analysis must be qualified by the fact it's based on an incomplete dataset. The public's understanding of the connections between Larry Summers and Jeffrey Epstein has evolved over time, largely driven by key events and document releases. The story began in earnest with Epstein's 2019 arrest, which triggered intense media investigations into his network. Before this, Epstein's 2008 non-prosecution deal in Florida had raised questions, but the 2019 charges pushed connections to the forefront, prompting institutions and individuals to re-examine past ties. This was when public accountability and disclosure began, a critical point. The unsealing of court documents in the Giuffre v. Maxwell case. Beginning in 2019, judges ordered release of thousands of pages, including Epstein's private calendars and internal emails. Journalists from the Miami Herald, the Wall Street Journal, meticulously combed through the files. specific mentions of Larry Summers appeared showing evidence of contact, planned meetings, and invitations. Public reaction was swift. Pressure mounted. Summers and his representatives issued statements to clarify the relationship. Statements generally acknowledged limited contact but denied close association or knowledge of criminal behavior. For example, a spokesperson might confirm Summers attended a group dinner where Epstein was present but emphasized the professional context. This reactive phase saw public figures attempting to control the narrative. The final stage: ongoing institutional review and journalistic inquiry. After emails confirmed Epstein's donations, Harvard initiated a review and released a report. Timeline graphic: 2003, Harvard donation; 2019, Epstein arrest; 2021 to 2024, document releases. Journalists continue to cross-reference data and interview sources. The story isn't static. The timeline is not complete. More documents could be released, further shaping the public record. This ongoing scrutiny stems from the initial arrest and legal proceedings. In conclusion, the publicly available Epstein files provide a factual but limited window into the connection with Larry Summers. The emails confirm that Summers' name appeared in Epstein's orbit primarily in two contexts: as the president of Harvard University, which accepted donations from Epstein, as a prominent figure on invitation lists for Epstein's social and intellectual gatherings. The documents verify that communications occurred between Epstein's circle and Harvard staff, and that Summers was invited to events and trips. These records establish a clear, documented link, showing that the two men's paths did cross in institutional and social settings. However, the files are just as significant for what they do not show. They do not contain any evidence of Summers' involvement in or awareness of Epstein's criminal enterprises. They do not depict a close personal friendship, but rather a professional and network-based acquaintance consistent with the circles in which both men operated. This distinction is crucial for a fair and accurate assessment. The emails are clues, not convictions. They prove association, not complicity. The primary lesson from reading these files is the importance of sticking to the evidence and avoiding the leap from documented contact to unsubstantiated accusations of wrongdoing. Several unanswered questions remain. While the emails show invitations, the full extent of Summers' attendance at Epstein-hosted events is not always clear from these documents alone. A comprehensive understanding would require correlating the email invitations with his personal calendars or other records, which are not public. Furthermore, the internal deliberations at Harvard regarding Epstein's donations are only partially revealed in the released emails. The full thought process of university leadership, including Summers, in deciding to engage with a donor who was already a registered sex offender after his 2008 conviction, remains a subject of legitimate public interest. For those seeking to learn more, the path forward lies in the continued pursuit of primary source documents and rigorous, independent journalism. Court records from ongoing legal cases, further releases from the Giuffre lawsuit, potential disclosures from institutional archives like Harvard's names, dates, events across different document sets can help build a more complete picture. Ultimately, the Epstein files on Larry Summers serve as a case study in modern accountability.